All right, everyone, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Hopefully, everybody can hear me pretty clearly and everybody's doing well. Happy Friday. Let's start off today's call. If you have questions throughout, please put your questions in there. Let's go ahead and get this party started, though. A few things to go over at the top of today's call. Start with two things. One second, let me just share my screen. There we go. So I am screen sharing. So there we go. Few things to talk about. First thing is the QQQ. Hold on one second. Let me actually just go solo screen. So let's talk about the Qs real quick. So where we actually came up, I took some things off. I want to remove this. Perfect. All right. So here on the QQQ, hold on one second. Make sure I have that. All right, perfect. All right, so we're here at 600. So with the Qs, I mean, it completely Nasdaq pretty much has pulled back for the week, right? So where does the sand align next, right? So let's talk a few things. So with the QQQ, now we need to get back above 613. We need to get back all the way up here, right? So we're far away from there, right? Let's just put that out. We everyone knows that, right? I don't think that's any surprise, right? For any upside. I want to go to the hourly time frame and show you guys a few things here. So, right, this structure price, when we broke below a couple of things that I do want to make note of. Where's my tool belt? My tool belt, my tool belt. Where's my tool belt? Where's my doggone tool belt right now? It just disappears. I see it. So we broke below this level here at 615. This is what prompted us to drop where we're at now. So when we got below this point, this is what we see now. So here on Thursday, continue to flush this morning, continue to flush, right? So buyers did not step in. All right. So full stop. Buyers 610 broke down. Price continue to keep moving to the downside. Now we're back here to the October 22nd level, right? So when we look there, still don't have my doggone tool belt. Hold on one second. There we go. Bring me. I was looking at my grind. My grind's holding on, funny enough. Yeah, hold on a second. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. There's my tool belt. Right. So now we're back down here to the October 22nd low, where two things can happen. Right here at 600, it's either going to defend or we're going to 596 and 591. That's pretty much simple. Right. So we're going to 596, 591 if we don't hold here. You got AMD. What tickers do we have? You got Meta Platforms, wet the bed. Here at $600, 604 a share. Let's pull them up. You got META, wet the bed, uh, night night. Just wasn't able to do anything. It is in demand right here at 602. So there are some buyers that are latent right here, hanging out. So in a goulash where both of these things are at right now, you got a $40 drop on the Qs, and you also got a $40 drop pretty much on Meta platforms. So Meta just continued to plummet, continue to draw down, stepped in here at 600, showing a little strong support, at least for right now. You also have pretty much, I forgot, it was a couple of people I spoke to this week, but you have NVIDIA, right? Of course, which is our benchmark. It wet the bed, right? So I'm going to come back to Meta and QQQ here in a second. But just to show exactly where this DT played out, and yeah, it's Donald Trump too. Today it is. We see it played out here, but this is where some buyers, you go back to October 15th and once again, October 22nd. So that's where we had these stocks at. The levels that we are sitting at right now are pretty much at a race all the way back to October 22nd. So it didn't spend up here really too long. Ultimately, price is right back down to where it was beforehand, right? So we do see that there on the QQQ as well. So you also have Netflix, which has been able to hold strong. The NASDAQ, of course, we understand the Qs is down. Across the board, it's selling everywhere, right? So selling everywhere. This is in unison. Now let's talk opportunities and where we see things at, right? So there's two things. Oops, I did not mean to do that. All right, two things. So one thing I want to go to, I want to talk about crypto, especially with BTC, MicroStrategy. They are in a huge demand area right here, right? So MSTU, a thousand, not a thousand, $100,000, right, on Bitcoin is posing as a very, very, very significant support level. BTC getting below, I've been saying this. I don't see Bitcoin ever going below 50K again. If I'm wrong on that, I could stand on it, but that's just my thoughts. The way I take a look at the market, I don't see that happening getting below, right? So 50K off the table. Could you go down to 70,000? I think so. Potentially, if any broader issues end up happening. But for the most part, this is money that to me is going to continue to be locked in here. We got ticker Oracle just hit 233 alert, just went off at a level there. Right, you got AVGO down 16. I spoke about AVGO in there and how they matter. I'm gonna get to them in a second, just going through some of these alerts that is popping off here. Right, so we're right here at 230. Right here at 230 right now here on MSFT. I want to take something off real quick. Right, so this is where the buyers are at. This is it right here. If buyers do not step in here, it is over. Right, MicroStrategy is coming down another $30-$40. Right, MSTR will come down another $30-$40. So when I look at, and this is it right here, like this the one wall that's left, 225. Right, you could 225 it, and it's also BTC. Can BTC sustain itself above 100K? That's it. That's the last ditch effort right here now. That would the only thing that's keeping 225 is the only thing keeping it from going back to 185, 180. That's it. That's it. Maybe a level around 203 if I'm 207, excuse me, 205, 207. Right? Maybe a level there, right? Maybe a level there that you have. Right? That's a level that you honestly have, right? So you can actually go ahead and do this, right? And so you'll see this here at 229, right? 229. So this is it. This is the last thing stopping this thing. 225, and that's it. That's it. Now, at the same time, when you tie this up, BTC at 100K. We all understand if BTC breaks underneath 100K and stays, it's going to cause some depression. Real spill. And so when we take a look here, let me light this thing up real quick and show you where BTC is sitting at here. Oops, it did it for me, but I wanted to do this. There we go. All right. So I wanted to take a diagonal trend line. I had this rising wedge, which Bitcoin broke out of, right? But I want to give you guys this right here at this 97, 900K. This is it. Going back to September of 2024. This is it. This is showtime. They bounced here last time in April at 75K. This time, 97, 98K. This is money time. Show up, put up, or shut up. That's what needs to happen here. If this doesn't hold, it's night, and 90,000, 85,000, and all of that will materialize. So what does that mean for Coinbase? What does that mean for MicroStrategy? What does that mean for MSTU? What does that mean for MSTY, right? Misty. What does that mean? It's put up or shut up time. It's to me, it's worth the shot. Do I think that at a name like MSTU here at $2, it's down 30% in the past 5 days. In the past month, it's down 55%. We talked about MSTU between $2 and $2.50 being lights out, go time. Now it came and happened, I think, a lot faster, but this is something really cheap. MicroStrategy wet the bed. It just comes down to it. MSTU, MicroStrategy, BTC wet the bed. There's been times in the past that we have seen, right? We have seen when there's been a little bit of unjust happening that Bitcoin tends to run. This time around, that did not happen. So we do want to note that, right? That BTC was not able to catch a rally even during some times of some civil unrest. So we do have that there. When I look across the board and I see everything how I see it, the selling is all across the board. We talked about Uber yesterday as we closed out. Uber had one of the greatest reports that they ever had, and this damn stock is down to $90. So this week you could have done you could have done it all right and still been down. So it was one of those weeks where you look at it and you say across the board, what things could you clean up or what things was just honestly outside of your control as well too. That's the things you sit back. Now, the reason, how many people do we have on here right now? We got 190 people. Perfect. So appreciate everybody for joining in. I know this was an impromptu call. This call is being recorded, so if you do have to step out, it's all good. What I'll do on this Zoom right now, in front of everybody, is take accountability for the BS. I'm not going to sit on this Zoom and blame DT. I'm not going to sit on this Zoom blame Raphael Bostic or blame any of the Federal Reserve people, Jerome Powell. I will sit on this Zoom and take accountability. I told you guys when the market comes down that you would hear from me more. You would hear accountability. You would hear directly from me. What I can tell you is that at the end of the day, I take accountability, right? None of this is really my mess, but at the end of the day, that's what a leader does, right? You take a look across the board. Obviously, there were some things we looked at, and the setups were there. I mean, just yesterday, Palantir was at $191. It's at 170 today. Just yesterday, Tesla was at 468 in the pre-market. It's at 427 today. Just using those couple of things as just different examples, right? There's other things as well that I could use as examples, and I'll show it. What I see to me, I do like the fact that the banks haven't folded yet. They haven't gotten crushed. Now, JPM and Goldman Sachs did sell a little today, but they did not really get crushed yet. In the past 5 days, Goldman Sachs is only down a measly 3%. JP Morgan in the past 5 days, when you take a look at two of our benchmark past 5 days, JP Morgan is down less than 0.5%, right? We're actually right around 0.7%, right? So I would say that when trouble really brews is when the banks start to fall, right? So I do want to make that note. I am proud of a few tickers, though. I do want to give a special shout out to a name like MU. MU has showed itself, right, and kind of really been able to protect itself, right? So I do want to give a special shout out to them, right? Now, can that continue? The answer to that question we'll find out here in a second. I want to pull up the SMH ETF, right? So when you take a look at SMH this week alone, I mean, this is a nasty candle. Not a pretty picture that you would want to see, right? This is nasty. Now to go from 372, you drop 30, but this is what happens when you go from 372 to drawing back down. Man, this is a bad week for it. Just looking at it from this perspective, just a couple things that I would note, right, is when I do take a look here at this time frame. Right now, we're looking at 334 and then potentially 325. Let's say we do break. Right now, let me knock it down here to the hourly to just see and get a sense and a feel. So this morning, this is when we broke below that 348 from the Tuesday low. So we started once again. The juice was there. But now you're seeing lower lows and lower highs actually start to continue to play out. Now, of course, what is the things, you know, if you're able to see a couple main things that I would say, right, is we've got to be able to see moves to the upside, right? Moves to the upside, making higher highs and higher lows. Right now, this is making lower lows and lower highs, right? So here on SMH, to me, when I'm looking at it, I mean, we go back to just these parabolic runs and what happens, right? So April 7th, SMH is at $174 here at 370. It's just a ETF to go up 100% is nuts, right? Really nuts. But it's a testament to the value that was added, right? So a lot of this is definitely justified, right? So now when I take a look here, Hood got slaughtered. QCOM is back too. The VIX is at 22, right? So the VIX right now is on pace. Unless a end of the day rally comes in the next 4 hours, the VIX is going to close above 20 for this time. You have the S&P 500, the SPY, which is at 662. So I put in the chat, I said, all right, well, when you look at the SPY is probably going to go ahead and come down, right? Now, let me show you a couple of things. I don't even want anything on the chart, right? So these drops that we're having happen. Now, let's talk about, right, the trend. Let's go back to July. We're right here sitting on this cusp of this trend. Now I'll go ahead and do it. Perfect, right? So now we're sitting here right on the cusp. Let me get my trend line. Let's take it from here, and boom, we're right here sitting on this trend line, right? So as S&P 500, if we drill below this level, this is what starts to come to fruition. And so the SPY, we're looking at it potentially here on the S&P 500, dropping down all the way. If the VIX continues to run and these stocks continue to pull backwards, right, we will see these names come further down, right? So the VIX is up here to a 3-week high. You have the NASDAQ as well pulling back down, the SPY pulling back down. The DIA is down about 300 points today, which isn't really bad considering that the NASDAQ is down 400. So the NASDAQ is always the index that falls the most during times like this. As we know, the NASDAQ is filled with the most risky businesses. Also, the IWM, of course, has pulled back down. They're on a losing streak pretty roughly. So when I think across the board, and just as far as, okay, well, what, some of the questions that have came in, I'll answer them here now directly here on the Zoom, right? So you look across the board and market caps have been obliterated in certain sectors, right? Certain areas of the market that was super frothy, people got rid of it quick, dipped out of there, like, pretty much like no tomorrow. Now, one thing I will say is that the ARK ETF is down 13% in the past 5 days. The NASDAQ itself is down 4%. So the ARK ETF is down 3 times, right, what the NASDAQ is. So the ARK rejected off of 91 and is back at $77. So the ARK has came down, pretty much a nasty day, the market across the board. So it's not a good feeling anytime something like that happens, right? So when I see here, how do we navigate this situation? What's the ways, that we look at this thing, and especially as the SPY sitting right here at this diagonal trend line, right? So let's look here. Let's go to the 4-hour, right? So here below 665 right now, 665, we would have to go back all the way to October, where we bounced at this level last time, right? So this trend line currently right now, we are inverting this trend line. So that is factual, right? We are inverting this trend line. So a close here would mark that we could draw down to 658, 654, and 650, right? Just opening Pandora's box there. Now, we did see here September 2nd, you remember that drop on that Tuesday after Labor Day, right? We bounced at 635. The SPY was down $10, about like $10. So that was about 100 points, right? And so that day was, now we hit this level and we rallied out of here. This time, boom, we hit this level, we popped out of here. This time, boom, we hit this level, rallied out of here. So this right here, this is showtime. Showtime is about to happen because now the VIX is at 22. A rally off of this starts to bring the VIX back down. But now let's take a look at, okay, where are some of these names at? Let's talk Oracle, right? One of our tickers for the week. It played out in Oracle 225, right? So now Oracle could make a lower high, then go make a lower low. So Oracle right here at 225, 216. Man. Go back here to September 4th. And the reason why I said man is, at 340, everybody wanted Oracle. At 230, I can hear a pin drop, 216, right? So when I look here at Oracle, it's a parabolic move in the short run, but let's talk about valuations and justification, right? Couldn't have been more right on time with that. That this week, the market looks for excuses and it got it this week. It got its cop out. It got its excuse to take profit out of OKLO. It's got its excuse to take profit off of the names that were maybe a little bit frothy. There's some names all names I haven't looked, certain sectors that I haven't all the way looked at. But there's also some things that I want to point out, especially as I'm developing this best practices, right? So now, when you talk about Oracle, this is a name with a 55 PDE. Oracle is going to come down here to this sweet spot, but very similar. Now, does 200 sound good to you? 210? Does that sound appealing and appetizing to you? on Oracle, if I told you that a month ago, you could get Oracle back at 210 when it was at 330, 320, would you have taken it? You would have taken it. Just at this time, right now, everybody's got a little bit of blood on their shirt, rightfully so. All of us across the board, no one's excluded, right? So it comes down to now we got blood on our shirt. You tasted your own blood in your mouth, and it's either going to do one or two things to you. It's going to motivate you, or you're going to be in a fetal position tonight. That's what's going to happen. One or two things is going to happen. Most people have been in a fetal position before. They understand, yo, these type of things are a bit sickening, especially when it happens out of nowhere. But then also as well, for me being here, I take the accountability for myself. I take the accountability across the board. That, like I said, I would never hide or go away, and you know that. For those that didn't already, I got a really good text message from someone today and said, "Yo, I remember in 2022, where there was some blood, and sometimes these drops can create really good opportunities." So I just want to tell everybody on here that it's, hey, we ain't pointing fingers at no one, but I'm pointing a finger at myself. So I take ownership of it. I take accountability, and we gonna get active though. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it comes down to. So the things that I have been talking to you guys about, some of these things, SMCI, 30 at 25, pretty appetizing. Looks delicious. Looks like okay. You're hungry. So it's just, those things, when we talk about getting prepped, you got your MVOXs. You have your we talked about MicroStrategy, we talked about Bitcoin, especially being a benchmark. We've talked about, of course, meta platforms. You also have to me, sometimes as well, zoom out, right? When you zoom out, it allows you to look at things from a different perspective. So the couple of things that I look at, I try to find names that do have some what we call relative strength, names that as well are not necessarily getting slaughtered. I do want to see some relative strength from a few names, and I have seen it, right? So what names here today, and not just today, but throughout the week, have been able to hold strong? I'm creating this right now, and it'll be published a little bit later on today. I want to talk about the names that didn't get too bad slaughtered this week. I want to give flowers to Snowflake. What that tells me is liquidity ain't ready to lead this thing as fast as it used to. So when tickers are getting back down, I want to see who's able to hold strong. Snowflake will be okay. Shout out to Snowflake and CrowdStrike. This week showed me that CrowdStrike's ready to go to $1,000 a share. That's what this week showed me. Because push come to shove, you can fall maybe $20, $30. Old times, CrowdStrike would have probably been down 60 to 90 bucks during a week like this, but they're only down 30. Of course, the rest of the market is down. Meta Platforms is down more dollars than CrowdStrike this week. So let that sink in. So this is where I'm taking a look and say, okay, what tickers are actually showing me some good relative strength? I do like what I see here from CrowdStrike. I do like what I saw from Snowflake this week. Quality, CrowdStrike is getting there. Snowflake is having, some issues and some troubles, but I believe they'll get there all right on time. Next thing, what this also showed me today was really that day with Caterpillar's down 15. But Caterpillar, of course, was not going to be immune as well. But I like Cat and continue to believe in them nicely. I like that they were very resilient this week, but Caterpillar showed up and it showed out. Now, one stock that I'm not surprised, I think even if the market was green this week, this stock would have probably been red, and it's AMD. No surprise here at all. Funny enough, I'm surprised they didn't fall more. But I think there's some people, looking at it. But you talk about AMD at its peak. We was watching AMD. It had its earnings reversal. Of course, that is something that tends to happen, especially. And now we just, funny enough, well, I'm just laughing at something that came across my desk. 1 second. I'm going to share it with you guys. Microsoft eyes its longest sell-off since 2011. If that's what it took to beat me out of Microsoft, so be it. 14 years, hey, I'll take that. I'll take that chance. You talking about a betting on America's best, and yeah, longest sell off since 2011. Really, that's what it took to whoop my ass. Hey, it just is what it is. So I'll take it every time. So take it right on the chin too, and stand right in the fold. So I just dropped that there for you guys. So it just made me chuckle a bit because that's what it took. But now you also highlight here with AMD, right? So we talked about valuations. There's some things that AMD needs to answer to. So as a long-term investor, if you of AMD, and you're saying, all right, well, let's see what AMD's got for us. They need to deliver on those damn numbers. That's what they need to do. Deliver on the numbers. Otherwise, hey, we'll take you down and we'll go to MU. MU's primed and ready to go. MU as well was a ticker that really showed a lot of strength this week and let me know that people weren't willing to really let this thing go. Right. So push come to shove, this market is getting slaughtered. And the SMH, they let NVIDIA go more than MU. Could you believe it? Not even from just a dollar perspective, but just think about it. MU was still actually making new highs yesterday. Just think about that. MU made a new 52-week high yesterday. New 52-week all-time high. That told me something this week about MU. So I look at, okay, what tickers showed me the strength? Shout out to MU, Micron Technologies, right? They showed us this week they're ready, right? Because push come to shove, the market was getting slaughtered and they were able to stay above. So I respect that. Now, when I look here, Tesla low level of 415 on Tesla. If Tesla breaks through that, it's going to go back to 389, 390. So I just want to put that out there. If Tesla breaks 415, it's going to 389, 390. So on that downside here, just want to make that note on Tesla and share with you guys. ASML is back down here to $1,000. You have SMH down $12 today. The SPY is right here at 663. It's right here at the diagonal trend line drop zone. MicroStrategy is right here at 230. And Microsoft MSFT is right here at 495. You also have here NVMI, our ticker, our golden ticker. I was impressed with NVMI this week. You didn't hear me mention it because I wanted to just wait and see. I was impressed that they were able to stay above 300. I believe now this was, a drop down week for it for sure. But I was impressed to see that they was able to defend this to 300 pretty well. NVMI has been a golden child of ours and it's done really well. But of course, they were not going to be immune, especially they're very speculative. But it has paid off for us. NVMI, expect to hear more from me when it pertains to that. Right now, let's talk other names. The ARK ETF includes some of these names, and let's talk about Shopify. Well, we kind of already, once again, Shopify, regardless of what was going to happen, we weren't bullish on this name this week, right? We could see from a mile away a profit take coming. Now, what I do want to highlight, I want to go back to that April 7th low and want to show where we're sitting at. Well, ding, 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 ding. Right there, 146. This is make or break. Put up or shut up time. Now, at the top of this channel, this is a rising wedge here on a weekly time frame. So Shopify, hey, you better show up. Money better show up on Shop. I'm gonna tell you that here right now. Money better show up. Otherwise, Shop is coming down, and it could bring down the ARK. Right. So money has got to show up. Money's got to show up at these times. Otherwise, it's gonna be night, bedtime for Shopify. So that's where we're at on ticker Shop. And when you take a look at, let's talk Palantir. Palantir Technologies, PLTR. Elon and his damn $1 trillion pay package. He needs to get the damn work. You asking for $1 trillion with a 1.3 trillion stock. You need to get to work, bro. Get to work. Turn that thing to 5 trillion before you asking for $1 trillion, man. So 161.85. Right. So we remember we broke out of the bear flag. This was here early September, and then we took a trade to the upside. Palantir, of course, did what it did on earnings, hit this level, and pulled back down. Right. So we wicked off of 2221. Palantir is down $50 since the peak of this week. Right. Broke through 180. slid down yesterday. All this happened within the past 24 hours. Well, yeah, past 24 hours. Well, 26 hours, right? Because it started happening after 9 a.m. So the past 26 hours, Palantirs went from 191 to 170, right? So 191 to 170. Palantir completely obliterated here this week. Once again, came down, wet the bed, and PLTR is sitting though right here at 169 in demand, right? So price another stock at a key level, right, this week. Now let's talk Amazon, which is sitting right here at support at 240, ticker AMZN, right? Amazon, right, is sitting here right at 240. Now Amazon, of course, held on up until today. They broke out of a bear flag that they were in, sitting here. So price came down, Amazon flag sat sideways for a second. Now we notice here with AMZN broke down. This was an hourly bear flag, short-term little bear flag. We're here at 238. So now Amazon is getting ready. If we do see 229, 233, if we do see more downside, right? So there's a level at 236, and then as well 233 and 229, right? So that's where we're looking at here for at this specific time. The SPY just hit 661. Hold on one second. Let me go to a ticker that I see that's about to wet the bed right now. Ticker BA. It's night time for BA. She's about to wet the bed. So this is over. Boeing is about to drop to 185. Also, hold on, let me see what this SPY. One second. SPY is at, yep. So we just took a note as I was talking about it. The SPY is down $8 now. ASML is underneath 1,000. That alert just went off. That is set. Palantir is underneath 170 again. So it looks like a little bit more drilling and selling right there. 233 still Oracle. Hold on one second. Amazon, we got them there. But ticker BA, I wanted to make notes. BA, right? Ticker BA right now. Auto fit this off. There we go. Take a screenshot of this. You got these levels. Now, considering all the things happen at these ports, what is Delta doing today? It's down 1%. Delta is not a highly traded ticker. But you take a look at ticker Boeing, right? Especially as airline companies continue to, you can imagine Boeing won't be on their list to spend this quarter. So I expect Boeing sales to be down. Holiday season, Boeing sales are going to be down. Holiday season is looking pretty bleak right now. And you might as well cancel Christmas, right? So when you do take a look here, 191, but Boeing coming down to maybe 181, and these are the levels as it falls, right? So you do have ticker BA here on the downside, right? So more of a downside move expected here on ticker Boeing. Airline stocks are not heavily traded tickers, so the volume is very low on those tickers. So you're not going to see major moves on those stocks, right, per se, right? Next thing, it starts with a B, but we're talking about BOIL. Now, BOIL's still hanging around here in the goulash. But push come to shove, if things get really bad and BOIL's right here ready to run. So we could be looking at BOIL if this market continues to pull back. We could look at BOIL and see BOIL, even if the market doesn't pull back, just because we're here from a seasonality perspective. But if the market does, you could see BOIL at 50 sooner rather than later. Right? BOIL is just one of those things that could get going one day and be up 20, 25%. Mark my words on that. BOIL could be up 20, 25% on one of these real nasty and ugly days. Right? So do be mindful of that. Now, it doesn't need the market to come down per se to run, but we are in November, and this is where we expected BOIL to run. We did say in November, BOIL would have an opportunity to maybe take its next leg up. Times, money, showtime and money time here, right here at $33 and $35. So it's 12 o'clock here on the seventh day of November. And that's what we have for ticker BOIL. Now QQQ is at 661, 590. Oh, excuse me, 599 for the QQQ. The SPY is at 661. Apple. I won't say the only way, but one of the main ways when the market, Apple is like the JPM situation, right? If they start selling Apple, they've lost all confidence in the market here now. If Apple starts to sell and take a dive, let's say to 250, It'd be, oh man, that'd be where we see a lot more blood come into this thing. So Apple set an alert for 250, just so you know, hey, if Apple starts to get sold, that means, and JPM and Goldman Sachs, those are benchmark names and names where people sometimes go to hide at. People go and hide in the banks. If they stop hiding here in the banks and they ain't hiding in Apple, they're getting the hell out of here. So I do want to make that note, right? That a lot of what we see is selling across the board. You have tickers that are even as far as selling. What do I mean by that? Well, you got Coinbase down 3. Last time I checked, Coinbase is a low float ticker, right? So I want to just make this note. Pay attention to the names that may have had a $20 drop day, but now they're giving you $3 or $5. That means there's not as much selling as what made the eyes may be telling you. So let's go here. This is where the DNA comes in. So for people, I want you guys to be on that Zoom tomorrow. Let me go find that. I want you to be on the Zoom tomorrow morning because we'll be back on Zoom again tomorrow morning for our beginning training. I do have a class to teach as well tomorrow. I'll see if I can prop up in the afternoon. I'll see if I can get a Zoom. No guarantee on that. But if I can, I can. If I can, I can. But we will be back live on Sunday as well. So this train don't stop. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. I know some people this day for this train will not stop. Just because the market got cooked and I got cooked, you got cooked, I'm still going to be here. Right. And that's the difference between me is show and prove. And I ain't got too much to say, but you got people hiding right now. And I'll leave that one right there. This the time to show up. This the time to deliver. This the time to say, yo, this is what it is. So let's break down Coinbase. Let me explain this. Well, this stock is down a measly 1% now. It's a low float ticker, low float underneath 250. Shares outstanding 228. So now if I start to audit my list, right, the list of companies that you have in your watch list, and you start to see the low float tickers, their volume is starting to maybe potentially die down as far as the selling. This is where you would pay attention for potential reversal areas. If the overall market is down, now this is where I say equal weight, right? Because you got Broadcom, which is down, best of the best tickers right now here on the street. This is the high risk that we warned about and we spoke about, and this is just an unfortunate situation. When we rely on NVIDIA's ass to take us to, these heights, and NVIDIA goes to 5 trillion, and now it's at 4.4 trillion, and it erased 600 billion in market cap. Just to put that into perspective, 600 billion in market cap is as if, right? Just think about this. There was a company we was talking about going to 500 billion, right? And that was this company has erased 100 billion. Palantir erased $100 billion on market cap in less than 5 days. And NVIDIA erased the Palantir in less than 5 days, just to put those things into perspective of what took place in the past 5 days. If let's say Palantir was a company underneath NVIDIA, they would have been erased theoretically, right? So we erased the Palantir out of NVIDIA this week. So just let that, now Palantir doesn't exist. You guys get the point of what I'm making. The amount of market cap that was shed from NVIDIA this week is more, it actually takes currently right now a Palantir and a half to make. Just think about that. $600 billion, Palantir is worth 400. It takes a Palantir and a half to make, right? That's what NVIDIA lost. Just to put that into layman's terms in perspective. Well, also what NVIDIA lost is half of Tesla. Just keep that in mind. So half of Tesla disappeared from NVIDIA this week, just to put that into perspective. But Elon, I'll get to him maybe this weekend. I won't do it today. His ass is worried about $1 trillion pay package when he should be worried about taking the company to $4 trillion, $5 trillion. There was a point in time where NVIDIA was worth less in market cap than Tesla. And Tesla at one point was 3x what NVIDIA was market cap wise. Well, now we sit here and see that NVIDIA is 4x what Tesla's market cap is. So turnabout fair play. So to put that into perspective, I don't see none of these other CEOs asking for $1 trillion pay packages, but I digress. Tesla now, he has a incentive. His ass needs to take that stock to $800, $900, $1,000, bro. Then you could get your whatever little pay package you want. Maybe. Really need 1,500. You want to know why? Because you take it to 1,500. Now, now we're looking at potentially a company that's knocking on the door of 3.54 trillion. So you can get your trillion because we got our others, right? We can pay attention there, right? So that's a different conversation. I kind of jumped into it. I got something on that. Tap in this weekend for that, right? So across the board, what I wanted to show is these low floaters, right? Well, now, of course, a name like CrowdStrike, a name here, this is a low floater. A name like Coinbase, when they stop dropping $20, $30 in a day and they give you a 2 or 3 or a 4, right? And they give you a little bit of a pause, unless they make another lower low, this tells you that the selling is stopping. And now there's more buying than selling. So also, when the overall indices are dropping and that ticker is going up, it's showing you that it's not following the market's movement. This is why some tickers today, notice like a name like UPS. I want to use this as an example. It doesn't say high asset allocation on any of these things, but I want to show this. UPS has already lost has already been getting cooked. UPS has already been getting blitzed to some degree. So not to say that they're immune, but this is where the valuations come into perspective. Don't think that everything's just selling. Yes, there's things that are red and some things that are gory red, but there's a lot of things as well that people are taking cracks at and shots at. They're not just sitting idly and not taking a crack at. Notice here with MicroStrategy. And let me go here and drop it down. I want to just point this out. MicroStrategy's lows today is 220. Let me go to the 5-minute time frame. And I really want to get nitty gritty in here. Let's drop this thing down. Look at here. This is a 5-minute bull flag. I'm not telling anybody to, take nothing on it. I'm just explaining this. A 5-minute bull flag, but I'm showing you where the buyers are stepping in. This is where the buyers are at. So the buyers stepped in here and said, we can't let this thing 220. Oh, no. So immediately by 9:50, MicroStrategy was here and been hanging out here in the goulash, right? Hanging out here, chilling. So when you look here, now MicroStrategy, funny enough, has and it's funny, EPS the past 12 months is 24. We understand now they have a 9 PDE. Really? Wow. So the company has earned a significant amount of money and is jolted. Now, they don't have any cash, but they have a lot of debt. Now, we know they issued debt, but from a fundamental perspective, they've actually cleaned themselves up. EBITDA of 11 billion. As you can imagine, these margins have jumped because of what's obviously taking place with BTC. So I won't say the fundamentals, but you look here, and now MicroStrategy, don't just think that people are not going to take a shot. And to me, it's worth the shot on MSTU. It's worth the shot. Now, we also talked about yesterday Circle Internet Group. Circle Internet Group were and CoreWeave were two tickers that we completely said, listen, these things, we don't want them right now. We would wait until really November, December, and look where we sit at. The same level that we was at in June, and Circle did all of this, is back at. You think it's worth a shot? Could be. There's not enough here to say, is it worth your best shot? Would this be a ticker I would jump all the way into? Definitely not. But if this was a name that you looked at 150, 200, and you wanted it, I think it's important to start setting some alerts and say, okay, come down here to 80, I might not be able to ignore it. If it gets to 60, you got a bag for it. That's the type of examples that I'm giving to you guys. These stocks could continue to drop and the market could start to recover, because all the market needs to recover is NVIDIA to U-turn itself, Microsoft to U-turn itself, Meta to U-turn itself, and a few other AVGO to U-turn itself, right? Especially that's the Amazon to pull up, right? Amazon's already done some amazing things, right? And so what I tell you guys is here right now, look at your monthly, weekly, and daily time frames on your tickers. And what I want the homework assignment to come to tomorrow's class is this, right? And we'll get ready this weekend. We'll do all of our homework and all of that. I want you to go to all of your stocks that you are currently watching. And I want you to bring me the demand levels. I did that exercise with you guys today. I showed you guys where a lot of stocks are sitting at key demand areas. To me, there wasn't one sector that maybe got blasted more. I think we saw selling across the board, and some sectors showed a bit more resilience than others. The semiconductor sector, because it got us here, also is the thing that took us down. MU showed true relative strength. So MU is going to go ahead and get the MVP of the week. I'm going to give MU MVP of the week because they showed their behinds right really well this week. When Nvidia was getting cooked, AMD was getting cooked, TSM was getting cooked, MU did not get cooked. So MU ended up taking away MVP. BTC, I think, is the most resilient player there is right now. BTC at 100K ain't going right now. Now we'll see what happens this weekend, but BTC at 100K said we not going. And I'll say this again: BTC will never be below 50K again. So that means you got a $50,000 spread here. You do your best. If it, I'll say this, 70 could come if this thing continues to keep kicking. Right. So, but BTC will never ever go below $50,000 ever again. I'm comfortable to say that. And if I'm wrong, I'll come back. But BTC less than 50K, never ever again. Never again. 70K, well, we seen that because there's going to be orders that's right here at 60K and 65 and right there at 50 that won't allow it to. So this is why I say we will never get below 50K ever again. So the deciding factor of MicroStrategy, MSTU, all of these is right here at 100K. So I'll post up the homework assignment. I know people are doing their thing. I know some people may be just stepping on a lunch break, but I wanted to make sure I came right here in the thick of things and delivered value. So I'm definitely going to make sure I'm on tomorrow morning. Look forward to that. Don't hold me to the Zoom for tomorrow afternoon. I'll see what I can do, but I'm going to work my best to make sure that I can get a Zoom for you guys tomorrow at 3 p.m. or 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see, but but if not, you'll hear from me Sunday. So all weekend, you'll hear from me every day. I'll post this recording up when it comes out. I appreciate everybody for their time today. And let's just continue to rock out. Let's continue to stay focused. And like I said, this is on me, team. So let me get back in here, finish up some of these things, and you're going to see some things published from me. Best price, worst case, best case scenarios, and all of that. So be paying attention to those books and PDFs tab, and be looking for a lot of information to be coming out from me. So I appreciate everybody for their time, and I will chat with everybody soon. So thank y'all. Yep. Thank you guys. Thank you. All right. I'll see you guys in the morning. Appreciate y'all.